Okay. So we're back for Sportsmanlike Conduct. We're going to talk about week 3 of the NFL. We're just going to get straight, because it's just you and me. We're just going to get straight to our talking about our homer teams. Patriots, Bills. What? There was some good things that happened, but the Patriots fans, I don't think
we give up
have
a special teams touchdown in like every game. It's ridiculous.
The defense. I don't think you guys had a pass rush.
Yeah. We don't. It's special teams too. We get a kick return on us like every week.
Spiller. The speed.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to eat some crow on the Steelers because they're good. Their defense is legit. Having Palomalu back makes a huge difference, but I'm still not sure if they're Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I have to apologize to the Steelers also.
Beating Atlanta at home, beating Tennessee and Tampa Bay doesn't make you a Super Bowl contender. And they barely beat Atlanta and Tennessee. Tennessee is not a Super Bowl contender. Let's just make that abundantly clear. They're not a Super Bowl contender. Any team with Vince Young at quarterback is not going to contend to win a Super Bowl. So beating them, Pittsburgh beating them,
he said it,
isn't a great win. And because they trounced the Buccaneers this weekend, that means nothing. Charlie Batch throws into double coverage in the end zone, and the Bucs flail all over themselves, and Mike Wallace comes away with the ball. Big whoop, you know? A 99-yard defensive touchdown. Yes, again.
We said they were going to go 5. We said that there's a possibility that they would go 5-11.
I'm going to have to say that. I'm going to have to eat some crow here. But I'm not ready to say that they're a Super Bowl contender. We'll see. But again, they haven't beaten a team that's a Super Bowl contender yet. They haven't beaten a contender. So until they do that,
I think
but they are good.
What needs to be said for Joe right here is, so far, you're right and we were wrong. Is that what you wanted? I think that's what Joe wanted to hear. Is that so far about the Steelers,
I thought the Dolphins
we're wrong and Joe's right. Joe had the Steelers. Oh, just Greg. I agreed with Greg. I was on the same page as Greg. I said the Steelers weren't going to be good either, and that was probably picking with my heart right there rather than my head, because I can't stand Roethlisberger and have no respect for him, and I want the Steelers to go down in flames. But that doesn't mean I should have predicted that before the season.
Well,
no, Allen's
Roethlisberger hasn't played yet.
Roethlisberger hasn't played yet.
He's a Jets fan, but Miami
He's always been a Jets fan, yeah.
That's lame.
Well, Joe looked at the schedule, but it doesn't matter. They lost. You can look at the schedule all you want, but the bottom line is the Steelers.
The first 3 games of the schedule doesn't make your whole season, though.
And the Steelers lost to teams that they should have beat last year. They're totally. You can't look at the paper and say, yeah, the Steelers should beat that team. They're going to. Not based off the body of work that they put out at the end of last season. That's why
they're most likely going to make the playoffs now, though.
They are most likely going to make the playoffs. I agree.
It's not set in stone. That's for
with
sure.
that defense, anything can happen.
Baltimore's 2-1, and Cincinnati's 2-1, and Cincinnati has won 7 straight games against teams in that division. They went undefeated in that division last year, and they're 1-0 so far. So no one in that division has beaten them in over a year. So, and there's still Baltimore right there. So if Pittsburgh finishes 3rd in their division, which they still easily could, they only have a 1-game lead on Baltimore and Cincy.
It's going to be tough for them to win a wild card.
And they haven't beaten either of those teams in over a year. So
it's getting to
if they do lose to those teams, I mean,
it's getting to be to the point where like all the good teams are. The AFC is just so much better than the NFC. I feel like.
Oh, it's ridiculous,
isn't it?
There's so many good teams in
the AFC has like just in those 2 divisions alone, just in the North and the East alone, I feel like there's 6 playoff teams there.
They're at least
in those 2 divisions.
Yes,
it's ridiculous.
Pats might have a little trouble making the playoffs too. It's gonna be a rough go of it.
It's gonna be rough. With that deep. They let
Ryan have to scrape and claw.
They only put 3 hits on Ryan Fitzpatrick. Joe wants to say, how about our Super Bowl picks?
Who are you guys' Super Bowl picks?
I want to update our Super Bowl picks. I had the Colts over Green Bay in the Super Bowl, and I still stand behind that 100%. I have no problems revisiting that Super Bowl pick. Someone had Dallas 1-2. They're 1-2. They're not. I mean, Dallas is not out of it yet. I think. I did not have Dallas. I had Colts and Green Bay.
Someone had Dallas?
Joe, I think you had Dallas, didn't you, Joe? Tony had Dallas then. Someone did have Dallas. Someone definitely had Dallas. I thought it was Joe. Joe had Colts in Dallas, yeah. Tony might have also. Tony, I think, might have had Jets in Dallas.
I don't know. 3 of us had Green Bay. I had Green Bay.
Okay.
I had Green Bay and Baltimore.
Then Tony had the Jets in Green Bay, I think. So, whatever. It's still in the NFL. It's real early to be thinking about those Super Bowl picks. Still, I'm not. I wouldn't change those if I were any of you guys. But
and the Patriots cannot get any pressure on the quarterback. The defense just looks
their
terrible.
line.
Special teams is bad.
I think the Patriots line needs some.
You should have to put up 38 points to beat the Bills.
No. There's Allen's picks right there. Allen has the Jets, Indy.
I'm so glad that the Texans lost to the Cowboys this week because I couldn't stand all the Texans are going to the Super Bowl talk. They were giving up 500 yards a game passing. And people on ESPN are saying that they're a Super Bowl contender after the first 2 weeks. You can't be a Super Bowl contender if you're giving up 500 yards a game in the passing.
Who is in trouble? Oh, the Pats have the best coach and the best quarterback. They'll be fine. That's what Coach Joe says.
Still,
I don't know that they have the best quarterback.
Don't you think that
Peyton Manning to me is the best quarterback
in the division? He's talking about.
Oh, in the division. Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
But don't you think Miami looks really good? I think Miami looks awesome. Even though they lost to the Jets at home, I still think Miami is capable of beating anyone any given night. Yeah, their D struggled. Jason Allen missing that tackle on Braylon Edwards was the play of the game. That was 7 points on a drive that was going nowhere. But we'll see.
All right. Can I talk about the Giants for a second here? Can I just
Yes, go ahead. Just give it 1 second.
So there's only 2 minutes left. It was bad. It was very bad, but I have to try to be fair, to be positive about it. They outgained the Titans by 200 yards. And lost by 20. So they have potential. There's at least something good you can talk about there. They held Chris Johnson to 3.9 yards a carry. He did go for 125 yards and 2 TDs, but 3.9 yards a carry. It's not bad. It could have been worse. The Giants didn't punt, or the Titans didn't punt? Who did not punt in the game? I did not notice that.
Turnovers in the red zone and a missed field goal.
Yeah, they turned the ball over in the red zone twice. Yeah, the Giants didn't punt at all. That's what I'm saying. They turned the ball over in the red zone twice. They had a safety. Penalties. Yes, and penalties. If they just stop doing stupid stuff, then they can possibly turn this thing around. But I don't know that they're capable of not doing this.
Okay, the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans should be 2-1, but they should have beaten Pittsburgh and lost to the Giants. They got tripled in yardage from scrimmage by Pittsburgh, they had tripled the yardage from scrimmage that Pittsburgh had, and still lost that game. Charlie Batch only threw for 43 yards that game. 43! And because of penalties and turnovers by Vince Young, the only reason Tennessee lost that game is not because they're a worse team than Pittsburgh, because they're not. They're better than them. Vince Young was throwing interceptions like it was his job. That's the only reason why. They should have won that game. They should have lost to the Giants. The Giants did exactly the same thing to Tennessee that Tennessee did the week before to Pittsburgh. You never know what you're going to get. League flips itself on its head week in, week out.
And I just saw that box score. I'm like, man, we just got drilled. I saw the score, and then you look at the box score, and you're like, well, what really happened? Well, what really happened is we dominated the game, moved the ball up and down the field, did a relative... As you can't ask... I mean, the Steelers did an amazing job on Chris Johnson, but most defenses in the league, you can't ask to do much better than hold Chris Johnson to 3.9 yards a carry in a game. I'll take that any day. But it wasn't even nearly enough.
Even the very little that Chris Johnson did against Pittsburgh.
Oh man, we got to stop right now. That's it. Giants lost. More next.